Alright, so practice problems for properties of numbers. So we are looking for the property that's being displayed in each of these questions. So first off, we have a number being added to 0 and it's staying the same number. So it's keeping its identity. So that's going to be an example of the identity property, specifically the identity property of addition. On the second one, this is showing us that if x plus 2 is equal to 7, then 7 is also equal to x plus 2. So it doesn't matter which side of the equal sign that things are on, as long as they're opposite each other, it's still a true statement. So this shows us the symmetric property. Then we have that 4x plus 8 is equal to 4 times x plus 2. And so notice what's happened here, and it's actually kind of the opposite of this property, but we still call it the same property. This 4 has been distributed to the x and the 2. So the 4 has multiplied by 4x to get 4x, and the 4 has multiplied by the 2 to get 8. And so what we've done is we have distributed. So this is the distributive property. We've distributed that 4 to everything inside of the parentheses there. Alright, then from there we have question 4. So if Amy's mom is Debbie and Debbie is Hannah's mom, then Amy's mom must also be Hannah's mom. Okay, so that's an interesting idea, and it's not math, but it still represents one of our properties. The property that says that if two things share an equal value, then all three have to be equal. So Amy's mom is Debbie and Debbie is Hannah's mom. They share Debbie in common. Then Amy's mom and Debbie and Hannah's mom are all the same person. They're all equal. So this is the transitive property. Okay. All right, question number 5. We have 3 is being multiplied by 4 is being multiplied by 8, but we're grouping 3 and 4. Then we have 4 is being multiplied by 3 is multiplied by 8, and we're still grouping 3 and 4. So notice here that my group has stayed the same, but what has changed is the order of what I'm doing. So while it looks like this might be an associative property, this is actually a commutative property of multiplication, because it's the order that has changed. I'm still grouping the first two items in my expression here. It's the 3 and the 4 and the 4 and the 3. It's just that I've changed the order from 3 times 4 to 4 times 3. Now look at number 6. On number 6 we have 4 times 1 over 4 is equal to 1. So we've taken a number and we've multiplied by the flip of that number, and it's given us 1. And so that shows me that this is an inverse property, because I'm using the inverse, and it's inverse property of multiplication, because I'm using the inverse here of that 4 to cancel it out. And again, I'm using that phrase lightly, but we're basically trying to undo that 4, so we multiply by the reciprocal of it, or the inverse of it. So this is the inverse property. Okay, then we have number 7, where we have 145 over 7 multiplied by 0 is 0. Anything multiplied by 0 is 0, so this is, of course, the 0 property of multiplication. Then we have question number 8. 3 plus x plus 1 is the same as 3 plus x plus 1. Notice that the order is the same in these. When I speak it, it's easy to see that. The difference here is that in the first one, I'm grouping x plus 1, and in the second one, I'm grouping 3 plus x. So my grouping has changed here, not the commutative. So this is going to be the associative property, and it's addition in this case, not multiplication. So the associative property of addition. It's what I've grouped together that's different, not the order of the expression. And then finally, any value is equal to itself. That is the reflexive property. Alright, so final question that I have here, I'm asking you to name the properties that are used to complete the steps of solving this equation. So here's the equation. The first thing that we did from here to get to step 1, it looks like is we took this 6 and made sure that it was multiplied by the 5 and by the 2x. And so we call that the distributive property. Then to continue solving this equation, from here, step 1 into step 2, it looks like we rearranged things so that my variables were together, my variables and coefficient terms, and my constant was out by itself. So what I've done is rearrange the order. So this is going to be a commutative property. It allows me to rearrange the order because I'm adding things together and just put things together that are the same. So then I have simplified and combined those like terms into 22x, and then I've taken this 30 and moved it over to the left by subtracting it, and I'm left this 22 is equal to 22x, and then I'm going to divide by 22, okay, and I get that any number divided by itself is 1. And so then I have 1 is equal to x, but I like to have my x on the left side, so I'm going to flip it to x is equal to 1. And that is the symmetric property, which just allows me to rewrite it so that my variable is on the left and my solution is on the right. So there are other properties that are involved for each of these steps. We haven't learned them yet, that's why I skipped over them. But I did want you to see how, at least using 3 of these, what that looks like in an equation. And we'll talk more about these other properties that we used here in just a few days. But here's distributive, commutative, and symmetric used in the example of an actual equation and solving it.